In this video, I want to try something a little different. Here's what we're going to do. I have here 4 separate stories. And normally in these types of videos, I like to provide takeaways, like listicle type things, like top 7, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm talking about. Today's video, we're going to switch things up a little bit. And I figured rather than just try to drop some gems on you like this is a big lesson, I figured there are stories that I learned these lessons through. So I want to share these stories with you. 2022 was by far, one of the most beautiful, most intense, most joyous, most heartbreaking years of my entire life. Lots of highlights, plenty of lowlights. And so there are kind of a couple key failures, and they're going to go kind of from increasingly more nebulous to personal as we go throughout them. And I think there's some real takeaways here for you too. That said, this isn't going to be as to the point and concise as some of my other videos that I have, because I want to expand on these. I want to really dive in. I want this to be more personal. So story number 1, trying to move to LA to be a musician, to pursue life in the music industry. This was a terrible mistake. So I had this opportunity to work with a big deal engineer out in LA. He did one of Beyonce's top albums. He works with BTS and these other huge groups. Big deal. Dude lives out in this like huge mansion and near Calabasas. And I was like, cool, I've had this opportunity to like come in almost kind of like a wingman. So he would kind of like mentor me. And I realized very quickly that I had made a terrible mistake. I had rented this car for the month. I had got this place in like a shared living space. I was out in his mansion and I was like, Kia, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I realized really quickly in my heart of hearts that I was clout chasing. I didn't love the project that he was having me work on. It was cool, but it wasn't like my favorite thing to do. And I learned quickly that I had made a mistake, that I was there for more superficial reasons. I didn't necessarily love the project that I was working on with him, but I liked the opportunities that it afforded me. The opportunities of working with him, being in that space, which more power to you. I mean, that's what often a good internship is, or a good mentorship. That's understandable. But I'm at the point in my life where I just don't, that doesn't vibe with me anymore. I realized really quickly, this is my big lesson from this, is the less you need from people, the more autonomy you have. And what I mean by this is, I was out there because I wanted to be famous. I wanted the connections of his. I wanted to be able to work with him, the stamp of approval, all of those things. I was chasing things for external validation rather than intrinsic internal motivation. I wasn't out there because I was like, this work I find really motivating. You know, that was not it. I was like, in LA, I'm gonna shake hands, kiss some babies, like do what I gotta do to kind of climb that ladder to get my own clout up. And I realized I don't work great in that environment. I don't play the game well. And that was a big lesson, was like, I had the technical skills. I've had the technical skills for a long time, but that I lacked the self-belief and I lacked the ability to play the game that is necessary in order to exceed in that music industry. It was my second time dipping and dabbling in the music industry for real. Before, when I was in A&R, I was an intern at Island Def Jam Records back in 2013, 2014. And music industry just isn't for me. So cut to LA. I have this car, I'm driving hours in traffic, I'm in this Calabasas mansion, I'm setting these things, and I'm like, this is not what I love to do. I don't like to drive. I don't really feel comfortable being home in the States right now. I don't really love the work, like just the States, there's just the attitude, the ethos, the vibe. Very grateful, very proud to be American, to be from the States, but at this point in my life, it just doesn't vibe with me. Like, I feel more at home in a place like Medellin, or down here in Rio, in Thailand. There's just parts of the culture, the people, just the way of life that resonates with me more. And so I realized that was one mistake, was stay true to yourself and do things for the right reasons. When I was younger, when I was like 20 or 21, I was like, do what it takes. Whatever it takes to reach my dream, I'm doing it. These days, it doesn't quite work the same. I know what my boundaries are. I like to have a certain lifestyle. I'm 31 now. I'm not gonna just grind and stay up all night to do some kind of BS work for you because you're tugging me along. Like, dude, I'm going to bed, I'm doing my thing, I'm waking up. Like, I like to have my schedule. And so I wasn't willing to make the sacrifices needed in order to make that work. So that was a big mistake, but also a lot of life lessons. Learned that I like life a certain way. And as much as I like to be flexible, I do have a certain lifestyle that really fits for me. So I need to listen to that. How can I build a career, build a lifestyle around the sort of day-to-day routine that just I like and feel good and thrive in? That's number 1. Story number 2. This one is a little bit personal. We're getting to the more personal pieces. I botched a potentially really rad romantic relationship. This was I don't feel that spark and potential with somebody often where I'm like, this could really be something real. And this entire relationship, or lack thereof, what didn't happen, I think, it takes two to tango, but was definitely my fault as well, sparked this brand new fascination with attachment theory, relationships, can love last, desire, just relationship theory that I've been fascinated with for a long time. And it helped me do a lot of reflecting on my own attachment styles. That I think I have some secure attachment traits. I also think I have a lot of avoidant attachment traits of realizing that there are reasons why I don't always want to commit or get close to somebody, and I use maybe the traveling as some leverage, and this was somebody that I was starting to kind of let in, and I was like, as soon as it started to get a little vulnerable, I was like, oh, close the door and I need to leave. And I don't want to dive into the details too much in case she's watching, and if you are, still think you're cute, still available if you want to give this thing a shot. You know who you are. It was, she would kind of hit me up and be like, hey, and I'd kind of hit, but I think we were both slightly avoidant. And so it wasn't like one of us was like, at first when I was pursuing her, I was like all in. I was like, dude, let's hang. I want to date. Let me know what's up. Like, if you're down to do this for real. And she was like, yeah, maybe. She was kind of wish-washy. And I think I just got butthurt. Like, I just got salty about it because I was like, no, dude, I want someone who wants me back. I played my card and said, hey, I really care about you. I don't know where this could go. We're still getting to know each other, but I feel like it has legs. Like, I'd love to give this a real shot. And she just wasn't really about it. She was just kind of wishy-washy. She didn't give me a straight answer. And so out of self-respect, I was like, nah, I deserve to have somebody who's as into this as I am. But I think I tried to like jump into that serious part too early. And I realized with Latinas, it's just different, you know? It's a different sort of a game. It might take longer to kind of cook up than it does in the States. I'm a fish out of water in that regard. And so I realized that maybe she could have gotten there, but it just might have taken more time. Whereas like I wanted to know, because it's Kia, I want to know now, are we doing this? Tell me you love me, right? I can be a little bit intense about that. So I think I got salty too fast when she didn't give me the commitment that I wanted. But I think we could have gotten there. And I realized that it's a video I'm going to make later, another time, on how to look back on your year. Rather than doing New Year's resolutions, I'm giving myself a little alley-oop for the next video. Rather than setting New Year's resolutions, how can you look back on your past year and figure out what were like the highlights and then do those things again? And for me, I realized one of the highlights was spending time with this lady. Like, she was really cool, and we had some really amazing dates. And over text, it was really clunky, but in person, it worked. And so I could have made it work. But that was my lesson here. Was the big one was like, you're never ready. As much as I keep wanting to be like, if I need to focus on myself first, get myself right, get my work right, get my money right. But being like, dude, like, it's never gonna be there. The whole key is you got to get the reps in. The same way I'm into working out, boxing, just getting the reps in, writing, anything. I believe in reps, right? Dating is the same way. Relationships are the same way. I haven't had a real long-term relationship in a couple of years. I need to get those reps in again. Otherwise, I just get really good at first dates, first kisses, one night stand. Like, I'm really good at first, but I need to get the reps in the 3, 6, 9 year mark, right? What do those points look like? And those are just reps too. And so there was something there. I felt it, I knew it. And maybe I didn't pursue it because I was scared, but looking now into these different relationship pieces, parts about relationship and attachment, understanding myself a little bit better and seeing where my weak points are and what are my own limiting beliefs around dating and love that are kind of holding me back or keeping me from really getting to where I want to go. And so that was a tough pill to swallow, because I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately. But now I know, moving forwards, being able to recognize those things in myself for the next time that I kind of see that potential there to say, Kia, like, don't overthink it, give it time, but like, be serious about this, like, really give this a shot. I'm so used to being alone. I'm so good at kind of hands off, being like, okay, like, you do you, and just like not sweating it too much. Where like, I'm like, dude, I need to invest more and be like, no, let's really try this thing. Let's really give this a shot, because I don't want to be alone forever. So there's that. Story number 3, working on letting go and selling my online business. This is something that I am currently in the midst of, trying to sell my online business, Beat School, because I don't love it anymore. And that's just the truth. I realized it started to feel more like a job than really fun. When I first started, I was super excited. I had the podcast, Beat School. I've created all these assets, these marketing funnels, all these things. And it was really cool to learn online marketing, but I'm more interested in psychology, self-development, art, writing, video, YouTube channel, right? And so realizing, having that conversation with myself, I'm gonna start back at zero. It might take moving back in with my mom and dad for a little bit, like who knows, I'm still making some money right now, but I don't love that, and I'd rather take that L, right? What is it? One step back, two steps forward, right? Take that L, swallow my pride, say, let me just bundle this up, sell this little business, go kick it for a little bit, take some time, figure out what I really want to do next, and then jump back into it, then just try to keep like stringing this along and building this thing that I'm not super into. So that's been hard, but that's also been beautiful in the same way of like this lesson of know your limits, right? Understand when things are no longer serving you, and swallow your pride, because this is kind of a moment in my life, which we're going to get into soon, that is been very humbling. And so this piece has been about letting go and understanding what my limits are. And I think this actually ties in great with story number 4. Actually similar to this is what made this year so hard, was it wasn't just letting go of the business, but it's been letting go of my dream. The dream of wanting to be a musician for the last 13, 14 years, wanting to be a rapper, singer, and letting that go finally. If you look at from the outside, it's incredibly obvious. It's almost heartbreaking how obvious it is, but I was so wrapped up in it, my ego, my identity, my sense of self, my sense of self-worth around this idea of being a rapper, a singer, a musician, dreams of wanting to be a rock star, that I couldn't see that I don't like to hang out with rappers. Like, I don't like to go out. I don't really like loud music. You know, it's like, I don't like going to shows. It's like, you probably should have known. You can't read the ingredients from inside the jar, right? And so I was just so close to it. I think I was just so scared to let it go, especially being the guy that is like the don't give up on your dreams guy, that it almost, that's been my thing for so long, is the line between making it and not making it is like one song. Anything could have popped off. But I think the universe didn't have anything pop off. The universe tried to tell me for a long time, like, that there's a reason why I'm not supposed to be a famous rapper, and I'm still trying to figure out what that is. But that lesson to me has been understanding when to grit and when to quit. And that's why I've been making a lot of content around that, around happiness, other phases of your life and career, knowing when things are worthwhile, sticking with them, knowing when things aren't worth sticking with, because that's what I've been processing is the opportunities that could have arisen had I left this sooner are palpable. But this is my journey, this is the one I'm on, this is the one life I got. And so now at 31, it's recalibrating who I am and what I want to do. And so this lesson, I think for me, is when you close one door, there are it's like close one door, another opens. Like a mind works best when I'm like, this deserves to be like on like a 5th grade poster, you know, in like a middle school. But that whole like closed open door thing is so real. As soon as I closed that door, it allowed my mind to expand to photography, to videography, to writing, to all sorts of, I created this channel. As soon as it started, I was like, yo, I'm gonna try YouTube. Here we are, I'm recording this video. This wouldn't have happened probably. This type of video wouldn't have happened. Maybe because I like to do these year-end recaps, but not in this way, not with the video editor, not with, taking the thumbnails, taking the channel really seriously, seeing that as like a viable option, because I was so gung-ho that it had to be this thing of doing music, that now my mind's open. I'm like, I realized how much I love psychology. I realized how much I love writing. I realized learning photography and these other things, these visual arts, poetry, that just weren't even on the table before. And it wasn't until I finally said, okay, life, I'm cool. Like, you win, like, I'll quit. This one's I'll take that L. That a lot of this other kind of inspiration, the muse, whatever you want to call it, started to kind of come down and call to me in a way that I haven't experienced in a long time. And so right now I'm at this very fertile, very fertile creative period where everything is an option. And at the same time, understanding that I won't know what actually works. This is kind of the lesson. You don't actually know what works until you try it. And so I'm trying this YouTube channel, give myself a year. I said I'm gonna try this for a year and just see how it goes. Because I know I'll learn skills, how to shoot video, more about audio, more about photo, thumbnails, this whole thing, as well as writing. And hair in my mouth. I don't even think that's a hair. I don't know what that was. But my point of this, telling you this story, is quitting can be just as important as gritting or staying with something. Like, quitting something is as useful as a tool as the persistence. I think in American culture, at least in the States, it's seen as if you quit something like you're a loser or you're weak, etc., etc. Where for me now, I'm seeing quitting as like one of the biggest assets that I actually have. How can I stop doing this stuff? Because stopping doing this allows so much opportunity for like other things over here to pop up and jump out at me that I might not have even been aware of before or open to before until I did stop this thing over here. So the big lessons from this are really like, it's never too late to start over. You can recycle your career. All the skills that I've learned trying to be a rapper, I'm now putting into this in terms of audio engineering, audio editing, writing, poetry, all these things. Like, I'm recycling this career around online marketing, all of it. Recycle your career, it's never too late to start over. The power of quitting is so real. Like, really understand, this is for me, what are you doing that is keeping you from potentially doing other cool stuff? Do you need to keep doing this? Are you doing this because you think it's right around the corner, which I did, maybe I'm a little delusional, but it's like, is it because it's right around the corner? Or is this just because this is something that you told yourself you were gonna do? This is like a nebulous contract for some arbitrary goal that you're trying to meet, or you're trying to prove to your parents or an ex or that friend that like you can do it, or is this something that's really serving you? And so for me, when I really stripped that ego all the way apart, I realized for myself that a lot of this was because these were promises I'd made to myself, to other people for a long time, but that these were no longer serving me, and that breaking those promises was worth it in order to have new opportunities for a different life and a different career. But those have been some real losses and lessons for me. And recently drinking ayahuasca again, it was a much more gentle experience. And I think it's because these were losses and lessons that I needed to learn, that I'm still learning, but that I'm at least open to. And I think that's why she didn't kind of like drag me through the mud so much this last time, is because she's like, yeah, you're doing the work. You know, like, you are eating the humble pie that you're supposed to eat. You're open to the universe. You're like listening to the messages. And so I feel like I'm in the right place. It's just going to take some experimenting. It's going to take a lot of hard work. I'm writing every day. I'm shooting a lot of videos, shooting a lot of photos, trying to learn and just trying to figure out like what this next step is, because I'm honestly pretty lost. That's a dangerous place to be. That's an uncomfortable place to be, but that's also a beautiful place to be. And so I'm very grateful for 2022 that I'm still here. I'm still kicking, down but not out, and excited for the next year. I think it's gonna be a big period of growth. I'm gonna hopefully get some answers to these questions. I'm gonna start taking a lot more time to try with the writing, try with the YouTube channel, see if I can grab any traction here. Maybe I have to go back to get a job. Maybe I have to move back home for a little bit and like post up with mom and dad because I've run out of money. Like, who really knows what it is? But we're out here living, we're experimenting, some cool travel ideas, opportunities for the next year. And I'm just rolling with it. It's not exactly where I thought I'd be at 31, but that doesn't mean that I can't be where I wanna be at 32 or at 41. So I think that's always important for me, is to realize how much I've changed over the last 10 years. And even though now I still feel like I'm learning, but I'm like, oh, I'm pretty close to where I'm gonna be, but I think we always underestimate how far we are actually gonna go in the next 10 years. And that's what I'm looking forward to. All these skills I've learned didn't quite get me where I want to go, but now how can I apply these for the next 10? See, maybe we end up a little closer to what I'd imagined for myself in this life. Only one way to find out. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all as always, and I'll check you on the next one. Peace.